Let's talk about Kevin Warsh. There's a very real chance he could be the next chair of the Federal Reserve. And his economic plan? Well, on the surface, it sounds completely nuts. He wants to hit the gas and the brakes on the U.S. economy at the exact same time. So today, we're going to break down this incredible high-stakes gamble.
So how on earth is that supposed to work? I mean, think about it. Cutting interest rates, that's the gas pedal, right? It's designed to speed up the economy. But shrinking the money supply? That's slamming on the brakes. So how can you possibly do both? That is the central mystery we are going to solve right now.
And here it is, the contradiction in black and white. On one hand, you've got the hawk in him. Hawks are all about fighting inflation, tightening things up. And Warsh is a huge supporter of quantitative tightening, or QT, which is just the Fed's way of shrinking its massive balance sheet. But then, on the other hand, he's also a dove. Doves want to get the economy humming by cutting rates. A hawk and a dove in one person? In the world of central banking, that's not just rare, it's practically a mythical creature.
Okay, so to make any sense of this, we've got to go back a bit. First, you need to understand his credentials as a hawk. His deep skepticism of the Fed's money printing policies, known as quantitative easing, or QE, isn't some new thing. This is a battle he's been fighting for over a decade.
And what's really striking is just how consistent he has been. This guy put his career where his mouth is. All the way back in 2010, when he was a Fed governor, he was warning that QE2, the second round of this, was a bad idea. And a few months later, he actually resigned from the Fed in protest. For years after that, he kept arguing that all this easy money wasn't building new factories, it was just fueling what he called financial engineering, like stock buybacks. To him, the whole policy is just a leftover from a crisis that's long gone.
And this quote right here, this is the heart of his entire critique. He famously called QE a reverse Robin Hood policy. And when you think about it, it makes sense. QE pumps up the value of assets. Well, who owns most of the stocks in real estate? The wealthy. So, he argues, the Fed's policy was basically a massive wealth transfer to the top, making inequality even worse.
So if he's such a hardcore hawk on money printing, why in the world is he now talking about cutting rates? Well, the answer comes down to one single powerful force that he believes changes absolutely everything: artificial intelligence.
Now, when Warsh talks about AI, he's focused on something he calls physical AI. And forget about chatbots writing your emails for a second. We are talking about AI that you can actually see and touch. Humanoid robots building cars, fleets of autonomous trucks driving across the country. We're talking about technology that is set to completely rewire the physical world.
And for Warsh, this isn't just another tech trend. He sees this as the single biggest productivity explosion of our lifetimes. And here is the absolute key to his whole argument. He believes this wave of efficiency will be a massive disinflationary force. In simple terms, AI will make things so much cheaper to produce that it will naturally push prices down, taming inflation all on its own.
So here's his logic, broken down into 3 simple steps. First, physical AI kicks off a huge productivity boom. Second, that boom puts a powerful brake on inflation because everything is cheaper to make and do. And third, and this is the crucial part, with inflation basically solved by technology, the Fed suddenly has the freedom to cut interest rates without having to worry about prices taking off.
Okay, so let's put it all together. This is where the hawk and the dove finally make sense together. This is what we can call the Warsh doctrine. It's a truly unique, and you could even say radical policy mix with some seriously high-stakes consequences.
Now, it is really important to understand that this is not the same thing as what Donald Trump is calling for. Yes, they both want rate cuts, but their reasons could not be more different. Trump wants aggressive, deep cuts mainly to make it cheaper for the government to borrow money. Warsh is talking about gradual cuts, and only because the AI productivity boom makes it possible. And, critically, Warsh wants to do this while also shrinking the money supply with QT, something that is not even on Trump's radar.
So what's the ultimate goal of all this? Proponents call it a healthy reset for the American economy. The idea is to finally break our addiction to cheap money that's been propping up all the wrong things, and instead funnel that capital towards real, tangible innovation.
And look, a policy this drastic is going to create some very clear winners and losers. The winners? They're the innovative companies, the ones with strong businesses that are actually investing in the future. The losers? Well, they'd be the so-called zombie companies, businesses that aren't actually profitable but have been kept alive by an IV drip of cheap debt. For them, this would be a final day of reckoning.
But the plan doesn't even stop there. This is a massive gamble, and some of the other ideas being floated in Warsh's camp are even more radical.
We're talking about ideas that could fundamentally reshape the entire U.S. financial system.
And these are the real wildcards. First, there's this idea of revaluing America's gold reserves. You see, on the books, they're valued at about $42 an ounce. If you mark them to the real market price, you could wipe trillions off the national debt, just on paper. Then there's the call for a new Treasury-Fed accord to get them working together better. And maybe the wildest idea of all, potentially treating Bitcoin as a national strategic reserve asset. I mean, these are fundamental system-level changes.
So, that leaves us with the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? Is the Warsh Doctrine a genius economic reset, perfectly designed for the age of AI? Or is it a reckless, untested gamble with the world's most important economy? The stakes really could not be higher.